What's good, everybody? This is JR from Dual Influence, and again, we're here with another episode of What You Might Have Missed. This is episode 3, covering Mark's Bad Luck, episode 3, which is called Grand Night Out. We got a lot to cover on this one because there's a lot of stuff in the background, so let's get right to it. The first thing you might have missed in this episode happens right in the very beginning. They're sitting outside of the penitentiary waiting to get Big Daryl, who's being released from prison. And if you look at the sign over there in the corner, the green sign, it says it's related to Oz. It says Oswald, and that is a reference to the old HBO show Oz, because that was the name of the prison back then. It's not the same exact name, but we named it Junior, kind of like to reflect that it's a newer prison since what happened on the Oz show. But that's where that reference comes from, is just the Oz TV show on HBO. You might have missed it, but there it is. All right, the next thing you might have missed is Big Daryl. We got a couple of things to cover from Mr. Big Daryl himself. So the first thing you might have missed, I know some people kind of mentioned this in the comments, but Big Daryl is actually based off of a comedian, one of my favorite comedians, Bruce, who's from Atlanta, where I'm from. And, I wanted to take some of his mannerisms, his comedy, and kind of incorporate it into the show. Even the story that Big Daryl tells about him being with the girl and, choking her out, that was actually a Bruce joke that we kind of not only visualized, but we took it the next step where he actually killed her by accident. So in case you missed that, Bruce is the inspiration for our character, Big Daryl, even the voice. Try to get the voice as close as possible. So check out Bruce, and you'll see how closely related he is to our Big Daryl. And keeping with Big Daryl, another thing you might have missed. We actually mentioned Big Daryl twice before we show him. In the very first episode, we mentioned Big Daryl on the news broadcast. It's at the very end, where he says, a fat man went to prison for choking out a girl before the TV cuts off. They're actually talking about Big Daryl. We had that planned all along and kind of dropped these little hints before Big Daryl actually showed up. In episode 2, Big Daryl's mentioned again by Crazy, who's talking to Mark, telling him, yeah, Big Daryl's in jail. If you pay attention, we actually reference Big Daryl prior to him showing up in episode 3. Alright. The next thing you might have missed, when they're at the club on the line, we kind of scan the crowd a little bit of the crowd in the line, and you notice there's a guy standing there with a shirt that has some writing on it. What we try to do is put most of the shirts, not all of them, but most of the shirts that have writing on them reference some type of song or, music to some degree. So I'll let you find out the actual song we're referencing here. Shanqui Shanae actually has another shirt. Her main shirt is a reference to a song as well. So we'll let you hunt those down. But those are also some items that you might have missed as part of the show, part of episode 3. The next thing you might not have picked up on that's in the background, when Mark is giving Tisha his phone number so that, they could talk later. If you check Tisha's contact list, she's got some pretty interesting contacts in her phone. One in particular that is right here. I just didn't want to have regular contacts in her phone. I wanted to put something a little, something that'll catch your eye if you're paying attention. So you might have missed the fact that Tisha knows a few people, interesting people, and have their contacts saved in her phone. So it's another thing you might have missed, but I'm pointing it out right now. The last thing that I wanted to point out in this episode, in episode 3, is the fact that the whole scene at the end with, kind of the big guy asking around where his wife is. Ultimately, he's talking to Welvin, who points to Drake, who pissed Welvin off earlier. So he points to Drake and basically tells him, yeah, your wife was messing around with that guy over there. That entire exchange between the guy, Drake, even what he mentions, we took that from the 5 Heartbeats. There's a scene in the 5 Heartbeats where a guy basically utters the same line, I gotta fight every night to prove my love. So we thought it'd be funny if we put that in there, kind of to end the episode where Drake gets beat up for trying to pick up girls, and pissing off Welvin in the process. Welvin the Great. So that's one thing you might have missed. And that's pretty much the list for right now. We're working on episode 9, which is, I think, a pretty fun episode. We got a little delayed, ran into some scheduling conflicts, and any YouTube animator will tell you if you're working with any type of voice talent, whether it's local or not, you're gonna run into some delays with getting those vocals back. So we had a little delay there, scheduling conflicts back and forth, but we finally got it in. Working on the animation now. So episode 9 of Mark's Bad Luck should be dropping soon. It's a really fun episode. It's really fun. And it actually continues off from episode 8, where the guys had their spanking service. They spanked some kids, and there's a little fallout as a result of that. So again, this is JR from Dual Influence. You guys keep watching. We'll keep pumping them out, trying to get them out as fast as possible. Make sure you share the videos, like the videos, and subscribe if you haven't. Make sure you get somebody to subscribe that hasn't subscribed. We appreciate the love, appreciate the support, and I'll see you guys next time.